I will share with you my screen so you can see the slides that I prepared for you. So yes, the first question for you is, okay, to start with, where are you located at? Where are you from? What is your intention today? Also, what do you want to learn from our webinars today? And while you're filling the chat, I would like to introduce about myself a little bit. So my name is Yuko de Neuville, and I am French and Japanese. So you can see the picture of my family on the left top left corner. This is my great grandparents and my grandmother. So I'm very proud to say that my great grandfather was the last generation of the samurai in Japan. In the middle, you can see the picture of my parents and my sister and I. And so I was born in France. I lived in Japan as well, and we moved to Japan when I was 6. So my mother, who is Japanese, was an expat spouse. And that is why this topic is so close to my heart, because I saw my mother as an expat spouse living during 9 years in Japan. Even though it was her country, she had her own different challenges. And now I am living as an expat spouse in the US. So we moved 5 years ago in the US, initially as in Rochester, New York, during 1 year, and now we are in Florida, in the Space Coast. And so you can see I'm on the picture. So this on the right top corner, this is me and my sister in Japan. I got married to a French Vietnamese on the corner, on the left corner, and now I have 2 daughters who are 6 and 8 years old, and we moved as a family to the US. And so when we moved to the US, I had to quit my job. I was a sales manager working in the energy sector, in the industry, and I had to quit my job and became an expat spouse. Or we may even use the word accompanying spouse, or even worse, there is a term trailing spouse, which I find it's a horrible term, but this is a term that it is used, a trailing spouse. Can you imagine a spouse that is trailing? But anyway, so I was an expat spouse, so I am still. So I had to juggle between all the hats that you probably are wearing too as an expat spouse. If you're here with us, we are wearing so many hats, right? As a mom, as a spouse, and we are trying to figure out a way to have some time for ourselves as well. And so just the picture on the right corner just shows that in the US, so I discovered a new passions, new interests, and this is an example. I participate in some humorous speech contests. So I'm having fun right now, but it has not been always the case. At the beginning, it was difficult. So that is why today I would like to help you with this topic, because I feel like it's a topic that is not covered so much, because many companies give all their attention to the working spouse. They have the working spouse helping him or her. Most of the time it's him, but it's helping him to manage cultural differences and things like that. So before diving into today's agenda, I would like to know, Alexandra, if we have some answers from our participants today.
What do you mean by answer?
About who is attending the webinar. Did anyone share about where they're calling from?
Yes, there are 2 people who shared. So one from Justin and one from Charlotte.
Okay.
So Justin is from Florida, and she wants to find a well-balanced organization between work and family life.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte is from France, and she's an expat since 6 years and is in the US since last September.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing about that. And please feel free during the webinar to share about the question and your intention. What do you want to learn from this webinar? So So we will dive into our agenda. So first of all, we will talk a little bit about what is an expat spouse. You probably have an idea because you yourself are expat spouse, but what does it mean? Then we will talk about 5 keys, not 6 actually, I've put 6, but 5 keys to gain self-confidence. Then there will be a time for Q&A, and also I will share with you a little surprise just to thank you for being here and watching this webinar, and we will conclude. So, first of all, what is an expat spouse? So, I would like, before sharing with you what is an expat spouse, I would like to know from you, when you think of an expat spouse, what image comes to your mind? It could be a picture, it could be just a metaphor or a sentence, but what comes to your mind? Please share it in the chat box for us. I would love to read your thought around that. And I will open the chat also to make sure I can look that. Just a moment. And Alexandra is here also to be my eyes today. So do we have any answers, Alexandra, about what image, what metaphor comes to your mind when you think of an expat spouse? And don't be shy, huh? There is no right or wrong answers. Okay, I can see the answer from Sarah. Okay. No, that was the previous answer. Okay, your difficulties are mainly due to the language barrier. Yes, I feel like I have lost my independence, not being able to communicate. I do take French lesson, but it is not coming easy. Very good, at least you're taking French lessons. And I also find it hard with friends constantly living in the expat community. That's totally, yes. That's definitely one of the challenges as an expat, is our friends keep moving back, coming. It's constant turnover, for sure. So I can see you are pretty shy today, but don't be shy. Huh? You can share with us, and Justine also. Huh? Because you're an expat since many years. But what would be the image? And I will continue. If you have some image that resonate to you, let me know. That are some images that Charlotte says, family support and organizer. Yes. These are some images that I thought are pretty relevant, but that's personal. The first one, I think that we can see the columns, is because I personally, and from my experience also seeing many expat spouses, I can see that as an expat spouse, we are a strong column in the family. We are part of the foundation. We are part of the foundation. So if the expat spouse is not happy or is not contributing to the family, nothing happens usually, because the expat spouse does a lot of things. And that's also the image of the knife. You can see the Swiss knife, because the expat spouse has to do so many things, right? Has to, as you said, has to do the family support, as Charlotte says, and I can see Justine also says. An expat spouse is a resilient person who needs to support family and spouse. So every day we do so many things. We are doing the organizer, the support, the emotional support for our children, our spouse, but you also have to take care of the schools, do the grocery shopping most of the time, do so many things. That's why I have the images here of the foundation and on the knives with so many different skills. Also here we have the image of the butterfly, the caterpillar which become butterfly, because these expatriations changes us for sure. And we can see from the example with Sarah, you're taking French lessons right now. So when you will go back one day to the US, you will be someone different. You have this different experience, different language. So we become a butterfly at the end of the expatriation. I also have the image of these plants. I don't know if it resonates with you. We can see from a small seed, it became a plant. It's because the expat spouse is more like a seed that has been moved to a new place, and it keeps growing. It's moving, but it keeps growing no matter where we are. So that's basically some images, but you might have some others. And now I would like to share with you some facts about expat spouse. So according to a survey that has been done by Expat Communications, which is a French organism, it's a survey which has been done in 2017 on more than 3,000 people. And we can see that 92% of the expat spouse are women. That's why when I will talk about expat spouse, most of the time I will say she, but it doesn't mean we don't have any men, but because there is still a majority of women. A new survey has been done in 2019 on more than 7,000 people, and this time 70% of the respondents were women, so that's why sometimes more women tend to be interested in this topic of expat spouse. 62% of the expat spouse are between 31 and 45, and 90% worked before expatriation. So I want to know also from you, before moving abroad, were you working? Because that's also 90% of them are working, including myself. And 42% speak 2 languages, 73% have a master, PhD, 60% think that it is an opportunity for a break, but deeply inside of them think that it's not positive in their resume, in their career. So they want to do something just to fill the gap, whether a professional opportunity or maybe a volunteering opportunity. It's something, it could be something, or finding a passion, but just to find something that fills the gaps. Okay. Okay, I'm just admitting some more. Okay, welcome Marta in the group, and sorry about that, I couldn't see the waiting room. So anyway, I'm adding you now. So now we are talking about the facts about the expat spouse, who usually the profile. And we can see that the global satisfaction level for expatriation, 87% or of working spouse are happy with their expatriation, and 83% of expat spouse are satisfied. So we can see it's more or less the same, but mostly the working spouse are more satisfied with the expatriation. And this is the last point, which is important also. Among top 3 priorities in expatriation, family and couple comes for 87% of the expat spouse and 64% for working spouse. So we can see here that expat spouses tend to focus more on their family and couple than the working spouse, who is obviously very focused on the work because it's such a responsibility also for them, right? So for 90% of them, career is priority. So that's when I talk for them, it means a working spouse. For working spouse, 90% of working spouse, their priority is career. So again, this is based on a survey. It might be not your case, might be not the family, but just to show you some facts. So please feel free to Marta also, who joined afterward, to share with us a little bit about your background and your story. And I know you're in the field, so it's something that you know very well, but please share with us who you are and with the group, okay? So, and by the way, those of you who are following on the Facebook Live, you're not able to participate in the chat, but I will get back to you after. If I see any question, I will respond to your questions after. All right, let's move on to the next slide, next information, which is why you came. I'm sure it's about the 5 keys. Sorry, here it says 6, but I will share with you 5 keys for self-confidence. So what is the first one? And if you have some also ideas you would like to share with the group, please feel free to share in the chat what are you doing yourself to build this self-confidence. So the first one is about, okay, let me see. It's about being aware of your life transitions. What does it mean? What does it mean? Some of you might know this curve. This is called the U curve of cross-cultural adjustment. This has been developed by Black and Mendenhall in 1991, and basically it shows the curve of the adjustment. So, and you can see the duration, time in months, which is totally different from one person to another. But basically, just remember the curve. So first phase is usually the honeymoon. When we move to a new country, there is this excitement. We are excited because everything is new. It's a new life. It will be a great opportunity for the kids. They will learn so much, etc. So this is this excitement, which usually doesn't last forever. Of course, it depends from one person to another. Some people can be most of the time in this honeymoon state, which is pretty rare, but it's possible. And then comes the culture shock. What is this culture shock? This is the challenging time. So some of you might be in this culture shock, maybe even after 1 year, 1 year and a half. The culture shock basically is when you realize that this new country is totally different from where you come from, and the language is so different, the food is so different, and it's hard, and you miss your family too, you miss your friends. So that's when it's difficult. And then comes the adjustment curve, where you start to make some new friends, you start to get adjusted to the new language, a new way of communicating, new culture. You start to find some new occupations, so you start to adjust, and then slowly you move to the mastery phase, which is where you feel like home. And usually, and again, it depends from one person to another. It depends on your experience, where you come from. It depends if you have lived in the past others expatriations. There are a lot of different criteria, but basically this is the curve everyone more or less follows. That's important to know. That's very important to know. So if you would like to share with us also in the chat where you think you are currently and how it has been for you, this curve, I would love to know as well. So let me see if I have some information here in the chat. Okay, Marta, yes, no problem for being late, no worries. So you had you're an expat coach and trainer and also an expat spouse in New Jersey, US. Thank you very much. Thank you. So next slide is about the Maslow pyramid, and I think I don't know if you've heard about this pyramid, which has been developed by Abraham Maslow in the 1940s. Basically, it shows what are the human needs. And obviously, during these pandemic situations, our focus, everyone, we had the same focus. That was the physiological needs and the safety needs. So these are the two basic needs. We can see them on the bottom of the pyramid. This is the foundation. Every human beings, we need this. So when we move to a new country, that's why we look for a house, a school. We need to secure our environment. But then comes the physiological needs, and that's why I want to come. Is as a human beings, we all need to belong. The belongingness. That's the third step in this pyramid. We need to feel like we belong to somewhere, and we need love. We need friendships. We need a connection. We need to be part of a community. So that's the third one. And I won't go into all of them, but basically I want to focus on this third one, because obviously when we move to a new country, this belongingness is totally upside down. And that's very important. And there are different ways to develop that. For example, through the school of the children, it's possible to develop this belongingness. Also through community, through volunteering opportunities. I don't know if you have some tips also of some ideas you would like to share with the group. Please feel free to do so. For example, in my case, when I moved to the US, I wanted to be part of a French group, but also be part of a Japanese group, and also being part of a local group through the schools. That's why I volunteered to my daughter's school, and then I started to find some new other passion, of course, like theater, public speaking, but everybody has different interests. It could be music, dance, yoga, whatever it is for you. There are some websites also where you can find some great opportunities to find communities, such as Eventbrite or meetups, Facebook groups nowadays. So, and after comes, of course, this is the 4th and 5th step, the esteem needs and self-actualization. So that's when you want to develop and grow yourself. And we will go into this later in the webinar. Okay. Please feel, okay, Yes, thank you for that, Alexandra. Yes, if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand, as said in the chat, or write in the chat box, okay? So the key number 2, cultural adjustment. And here I would like to share with you about, because I didn't say in the beginning of the webinar, but I am both a life coach, certified coach, and I'm also a cross-cultural trainer. So in this webinar, what I would like to bring to you is a bit of both. So a bit of my coaching knowledge, like how to build your self-confidence, but at the same time, I would like to share with you about the cross-cultural adaptability skills. And because my mission, and I didn't say at the beginning, and I think that's very important, my mission in life is to make this world a better place with people who are in harmony within themselves, but also with others. So this is the important part, to be in harmony within yourself and with others. So that's my mission in life. That's why I'm doing this webinar today, to help you. Okay, thank you for sharing, Sarah. So I found it easy to find belongingness and friendships through the expat community at my kids' school. However, it is difficult to become part of the local community. But again, I think this mostly comes down to the language barrier. Yes, so here we can see that, yes, you're both in the expat community and you want to be part of the local community, which I think it's very important and great that you're doing this effort. And for sure, language barrier can be, and at the same time, there are some, of course, in every country or different, but some people are also very curious about the English language and they want to share. So there might be, I'm sure, some opportunities about that, but we will talk about that later. Justine also, tips, I agree, connect with people as much as possible, find project, personal goals. Yes, through projects and personal goals, that's a great way too. So cultural adjustments, so that's just a slide to show you what are some things that are surprising to you in the country. So you can also share in the chat again, but what are some things that for you were like a culture shock when you moved to France, for example, Sarah, and all of you also when you moved to another country? Oh yes, Marta, also you shared that I've been in a new country for 6 months already, not in culture stage yet, but also not in honeymoon stage. Okay. Sometimes something in between, one day extra positive, other with some difficult emotion, but I guess it's connected also to the COVID situation. Yes. COVID situation for sure has a tremendous impact on everybody and on us as an expat spouse too, because as an expat spouse, it's hard to find some time for our project and to find some time for ourselves when we have kids at home, where when they're supposed to be at school. So for sure, in your case, Marta, I know your kids are older, but I'm just talking for those of you who have children, young age, for example. Okay, so that's just to show you some images of like the culture shock I lived when I lived in different places. Like in Japan, people are so respectful. They do the social distancing naturally. Obviously, as you can see, they're waiting to enter the subway. There is this different bowing degrees depending on who you have in front of you. You bow more than the other. If you have like a manager in front of you, you would bow more. If you have a colleague, you would bow a little bit. So we don't shake hands. We don't do la bise like in France. There are different. In the US, for example, people are hugging each other. I can see were pretty proud of their flag, showing it on the cars, very encouraging, saying good job. So these are all the things that I notice among so many others. And this is part of the new culture, discovery of a new culture. And in France, we can see the teacher on the top right corner, teachers. It's a bit, that's a generalization, of course, but it's just to show the approach for encouragement towards students. It's a bit different in France and the US, even though the positive parenting, positive education is of course coming to France as well. But these were something that surprised me a lot, to see my daughters receiving good job all the time. And of course, in some cities, you have more monuments, more culture, such as Paris, where I come from. There is all these monuments, museum, etc., which here I miss a little bit because I live on the beach side, on Space Coast. So I would like to know from you also, what are some things that surprised you in your new environment? So I can see Sarah. Yes, the biggest culture shock was in just the little things. I'm used to everyone smiling, and at first it seemed very cold. Yes, that the French don't tend to smile at strangers, no small talk, etc. People are not in such a hurry here. So you mean when people are not in such a hurry? Do you mean where you are right now in French suburb, or do you mean where you come from in the US? Just if you could add a comment. But yes, definitely regarding people smiling, this is something I hear a lot of time. Yes, especially in Paris. Lack of efficiency in getting things not done. Yes, okay, that's something that surprised you too here. Yes, here in the US, time is money for sure, and in France, the time is more fluid for sure. And that's another point. And that's just to give you just a bit of a taste of how I train my clients usually on the cultural adaptation, but that's just to show you the communication style difference can be so different in Japan, France, and USA. So here is just, I won't go into too many details because this would be like another training or another webinar on its own. But basically, just to give you the first example, for example, regarding direct or indirect communication style, you can see in Japan it's very indirect. We don't really say what we think. There is the honne and tatemae. So honne is what we think, tatemae is what we show. In France, it's a bit of both direct and indirect. And in the US, it will be very direct. But here again, and in every culture, that's what is interesting, is that there is always some nuances. And in the US, what I found is it can be very direct when it comes to something positive, but when it's something negative to say, it won't be necessarily too direct. Whereas in France, when you have something negative to say, or when you want to confront each other, you can be pretty direct in France. So it's very important to see that in every culture we behave, we communicate, we work differently, but there are some nuances of course, depending on the city, depending on the person. Does the person has experience living, working abroad, or working with other people, etc., etc. So that's also something very important to take into account when you're in a new country. Please make your research about their culture, basically. Okay, so the third key I would like to share with you is be kind to yourself. And I know it sounds like it's easy to say, but actually it's not that easy to do, I know. So when we think of that, imagine yourself when you're on a plane. I know right now it's hard to imagine yourself on a plane due to the situation, but when you're on a plane and you have all the security guidelines, usually the steward, flight attendant tell you that if there is some issue and you need to if there is some oxygen issue, you need to put your oxygen mask first before putting into your children. So this means that this is also in everyday life. It's so important to be kind to yourself and to take care of yourself first, because if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? It's like pouring from an empty cup. And this is I really love this image, because a happy wife equals a happy life. This is something I saw in a magazine, and I really like it because it says a wife is the backbone of her family. If she is not happy, the whole house is in chaos. And if this wonderful woman is being taken care of and smiling, everyone in the house is smiling. And this is so important for us as an expat spouse, because an expatriation cannot be successful if we are not happy as an expat spouse, because then it will have an impact on our children, on our spouse, and it can even have an impact on the expatriation itself, where the expatriation can be shortened and we want to go back to our country. So we have even more challenges as an expat spouse than a regular spouse, because we can be lonely, we are far from our family, etc. There is a cultural barrier, as some of you mentioned as well. So how do you take care of yourself? And that is a question I have for you as well. How do you take care of yourself? Currently, what are you doing? Just to give you some ideas, this is a physical aspect. We can go to the gym, we can do some sport, we can go out and do some jogging. And even now it's possible with the COVID. We cannot go to the gym necessarily, even though some places are opening up, but we can go outside and do jogging. Personally, that is what I do, because I need to breathe sometimes, go out from my family and just go running. There are some things that we can do to take care of our spirits, such as meditation. There is a great free app I'm using, which is called Insight Timer. I can put it in the chat. I use it, it's free and it's great. So to do meditation, you have also yoga. I use also a lot of gratitude. I don't know if you do that, but I have a gratitude journal, and I make sure every night before going to bed, I write at least 3 gratitudes, 3 things that make me happy during the day, 3 things that I'm proud of, or 3 things, just it could be the tiniest thing, like such as I was so happy to spend the quality time with my daughter. I met the neighbor and she was so nice. It could be the tiniest thing which made you happy. So important, gratitude, especially during the tough time, especially when you're having a tough day. Make sure you do your gratitude before going to bed, because your state of mind in the evening have an impact on your state of mind the following day. That has been proven scientifically. There are other ways to take care of yourself through the food, of course, nutrition. I know how challenging it is when we move to a new country and we have like a new ingredients, etc. But it's always possible to find some similar, I would say, ingredients. I even managed to find some Japanese or French ingredients, and some of them I have to abandon, but that's okay. So it's important to accept that nothing is perfect, And do not compare yourself with others, because when we compare ourselves with others, that's when we put pressure on our shoulder. So, and ask for help to your spouse, to your friend, to a babysitter if you need to breathe, to have some time with your spouse. So that's just some ideas, of course, for you. You don't need to take all of them, just some ideas. Justine also, she has a daily routine with some me time, non-negotiable, for sport and breathing techniques. Yes, that's great. That's great. Because if you don't give yourself time, me time, nobody else will give you some time. It's our decision, our responsibility for sure. Thank you for sharing that, Justine. The key number 4 is winning team. Yes, Martha also said to be creative, paint, draw, play music. It helps a lot. Yes, and a lot of us think we are not creative, but creativity can be so many things. So for so many years, I thought I was not creative because my sister sings so well, etc. But I realized that creativity can be easier as just writing, maybe. I write a lot in my journal, and that's part of creativity. So that's great. Thank you, Martha, for that. Key 4. Now, I would like to say, winning team as a couple. So I have a question for you now. What do you do to maintain a good relationship in your couple? Because, and I would like to hear the feedback from you to help everyone, because all of us has different ways to maintain a good relationship over the time, especially during when we live abroad. There are so many challenges. It's like an earthquake it can be an earthquake in the couple. There are some more, we can have some more tensions, more arguments that maybe we didn't have in the past due to so many different reasons. For example, the working spouse works so many hours, and I hear so many times, I hear from the expat spouse that my spouse, he, before moving, he sold me a dream. And in fact, it's a nightmare because I don't see him. He's always working. He comes back home late. So I hear that all the time. And so what would be for you like the keys to maintain a good relationship? And while you're sharing with us, I would like to share just a picture of my parents, because my parents, for me, it's an example of winning team, because they moved, so they lived during 9 years in Japan, and during this time, it was not easy because my father had to work so many hours in Japan. You know, I don't know if you're aware of that, but in Japan we work so many hours because the merit comes from the effort. So the more you work, the more you stay at work, the more you are well seen. So anyway, to make a long story short, my mother, she quickly told him, you know what, if you're coming back late all the time like this and you're not having time for me and our children, our 2 daughters, so me and my sister, you know what, I prefer to come back to France. And so she had a very direct communication. She's Japanese, but she had a very direct communication, which is unusual in Japan, but you know, she lived many years in France as well, so it helps. And so because they had this empathy and between each other and this like open communication, they were able to find a solution. So he went back. He still worked many hours, but they found some common ground. So in the weekend, we would go and visit some places and spend very quality time during the weekends. So they found some solutions. But yes, and everybody as a couple, it's important. I don't know if you've heard about the book, The 5 Love Languages, a book that I love. I don't remember the name of the author, but everyone needs different things, and we have some different ways to show our love to each other. And some people would prefer to have some quality time with a spouse. Some people would love like to have some attention, such through the gift, for example. Some other people would like just some kind words. So this is we have different love languages, and it's important to make sure we understand what is the other person love language, and sometimes it means to make concessions, for sure. It means to make some concessions. So I can see from Marta, yes, thank you. Key is to discuss the future life in a new country and expectations before the move. After the move, talk. Spend some time together without kids. Find new routine for a couple. Yes, thank you very much, Marta, for that. Yes, 100%. I 100% agree. And in fact, this is something also we do as a couple, because it's so hard to have some time without the kids. Because in France, we used to have our family. My parents and my parents-in-law used to live just 15 minutes drive away from our house, which was very convenient. We could go out as we wished. But now we decided that, okay, it's sometimes we need to hire a babysitter just to have some time for ourselves and just to spend some quality time, but also to have some time to discuss. I like your point, Marta, because we also spend some time to discuss about our future project. Like, where do we see ourselves in maybe 1 year, 2 years, and what do we want for our children? And as long as we have like a common ground and common objective for our family, it helps. It helps. So it's very important to understand that we tend to perceive situation differently as a couple, even if we live the same situation. So it's very important to communicate about our needs, because if we don't communicate about our needs or our expectations or our fears, or even our challenges openly, if we don't do that, the other person might not guess what we are going through inside of us. So it's very important to share about that. So I would say the key finally is just to have a balance between putting ourselves in the shoes of the other person, because yes, the working spouse also has a lot of challenges, a lot of pressure at work, because the person needs to show that he or she has a value in the company. That's why he has been hired in this new country. So the working spouse has a lot of pressure. So it's important to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, but also it's key to listen to our own needs and to believe that everybody does our best. In the couple, we are both doing our best for the family. So the last but not least, I think, and I would like to spend a little bit more time here, is the personal growth. And there is a quote that I love from Bruce Schneider. He is the founder of IPEC, the coaching program I went, which is, we either grow or die. So it means that growing is a lifetime journey. We grow during all our life. And as soon as we stop growing, we die. So, and there is different ways, of course, to grow. You can grow through reading books, through listening to inspirational podcasts, watching TEDx, doing some trainings. I know that some of you, such as Justine, currently you are doing a training. So we all have different ways to grow. But the most important, I would say, is to grow within. And how we do that is, and that is the approach that I use, is through your awareness, self-awareness, to be aware of your own energy, because we are all energy. We are all energy, and we are all like a light bubble. So we are all the same source of energy, but some of us might use maybe 40% of our energy focusing on negative thoughts, negative beliefs, negative emotions, and some of us might focus 40% of our energy on more positive beliefs, experiences, circumstances. So how you choose to live your life is determined by how much energy you decide to give to any given circumstance in your life. And so this is an energetic self-perception chart. And I know it's pretty complex. So if you have any question, feel free to raise your hand or stop me, okay? But we all have 7 levels of energy. So you can see from the center of the circle, this is the energy level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It comes from the center to outside. And basically, it shows that every human beings, we fluctuate between the 7 level of energy. Level 1 is the victim energy, and a lot of us can be in this victim mode when we feel like we don't have a choice. The level 2 is a conflict, when we feel we are angry towards our spouse, toward our new country, toward our new environment, new situation. Level 3 in yellow is responsibility. So now I'm looking at the left column, okay? Because the left column is our core thought. In the middle, we have the core emotion, and on the right hand, we have action. So we usually look this perception chart from the left to the right. So the core thought has an impact on our emotion, and our emotion has an impact on our action, okay? So the level 3 is more the responsibility. We start to take responsibility of our situation, and then slowly we move to the number 4, which is more the compassion. We have empathy for our spouse, for others, for ourselves as well. Compassion can be towards ourselves. And the level 5 is the reconciliation, the peace, where we feel like there are opportunities in these challenges. It's difficult, but there are some opportunities for growth, for other things, to discover new culture. And then level 6 is about the joy, the synthesis. So we feel like a constant sense of peace and joy in this new environment. And level 7 is more the absolute passion. So it's absolute passion, meaning we don't losing and winning or illusion, etc. There is no judgment, non-judgment towards the new environment, towards the new other people, etc. So I went very quickly on that, but basically it's just to show you that we all fluctuate between the 7 levels of energy within a day, within a week, within a year, within 5 years. But the first step is to know what is your energetic makeup. And how do we know that? Is by discovering your energetic profile. So that is just an example of my own profile I'm showing you, because I cannot share with you my clients' profiles. But basically what you can see is that this tool is called the Energetic Leadership Index Report, ELI report, and it measures your unique combination of the 7 levels of energy. So you can see on the left hand, this is my combination. So you can see that I have a lot of level 4 and a lot of level 6 when I am in normal situation. This is the left corner. So this energetic level, these are the representation of your current perceptions, beliefs, and ultimately it provides a reason why you think, act, and do the things that you do. So that is key into discovering who you are and how you see things. And it also measures how your energy levels change when you experience stress. So this is the graph on the right hand. You can see that when I am in a stressful situation, such as moving abroad, for example, for all of us as an expat spouse, it could be a lot of level 1, which is the victim level, where you think that you have no choice, no option, that the world is against you. That's just some example. And that is, so in my case, I know that when I have a stressful situation, I can be into this level 1, but I don't stay long. Like it could be just a few minutes. But depending on the situation or depending on people, we can stay maybe a long time in this level 1. We can stay even many years in this level 1s. And so it's important to be aware of that, because most people are not happy with their current life situation, and they don't know why exactly, or they don't know where they are putting their energy that is causing this dissatisfaction. So the power to control your action and reaction comes through recognizing what drives your perceptions, what drives your feelings and actions, so that you can recognize and you can change habits and patterns that do not serve you well. And you can see here, there is also the average resonating level, which is the average of everything. And the studies show that the higher this average is, higher you find satisfaction in all areas of your life, in the finance, in the professional, personal life, etc. So this is a very brief summary about what is it. It's a complex topic. If you want to know more about it, I have done another webinar only on energy topics. So I invite you to watch it. It's on the Facebook page, Yoko Donneville Coaching. You can watch it. So this is to show you how the process looks like. So first of all, and this is a gift I would like to have for you, to thank you for watching this webinar. So these are the 3 steps. First of all, you take the ELI assessment. There are about 80 questions to discover your energetic profile. And then the second step, you receive an ELI report, customized report with your results, about 10 pages. And then we have together a ELI debrief coaching session, 90 minutes, where we will discuss together how much of the positive and negative energy you are currently using. We don't use usually positive and negative terms. We use anabolic and catabolic, but I use this to help you understand. And we will, during this debrief, get a 360-degree view of who you are and how you act. And I want to help you to understand what's driving your perception and your feelings and actions today. And of course, I want to help you to increase the energies that are serving you, and to decrease the energies that are not serving you, and to be able to recognize and change maybe the habits and patterns that are not serving you. So that's so usually for this whole process, this is $397, but I would like to make an offer for you, and until the end of June, I would like to give you 15% discounts, which brings it back to $337, only until the end of June. And for that, you just can send me an email. And here are some testimonials from clients who took the assessment and went through this process. So some of them say it was a game changer for me. And another testimonial is, I used the result to help me make better decisions and approach things from a much more intentional position. So this you can read it after, but that's are some testimonials from clients. And I know we are on top of the hour, but I would like to stay here to answer to any of your questions. And if you need to leave us, I understand too, but I'm here to answer any of your questions and answers. And Alexandra is here to help me to read your question. And I would like to end also with this quote, which is, the mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work unless it's open. So I would like to invite you to open your parachute and to dive into your self-development, self-growth. And just the fact that you're here today, it's a proof that you are putting yourself first today. So thank you very much for that. And I would like to just for you to keep in touch. You have my email address, and you can visit my website. And yes, and I'm here for you now to answer your question if you have any. Do we have any questions or comments from everyone? No? Okay. So if we don't have, you can always write an email to me. I will be happy to answer. And I would like to thank you very much, very, very much for your time today. And I hope it was helpful to you.